with all the kids who've come through Hatch and gone into Preston, who are some of the really good players who've made that progression that you can think of?
Well, I suppose if you look at one boy, Daniel Fox.
Right.
Daniel Fox tried out at Coburg, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, and he never made the squad, right? And I knew his dad. So he got in contact. He said, look, would it be all right if Daniel came down and had a tryout at Preston and you picked the team? And I said no. So, you know, he came down and, yeah, he was okay, you know. So he was included in the squad. But every game of that particular year, that season, every game he seemed to improve in things that he was doing. He was getting stronger, he was bowling better, he was batting better. And then he decided to come down and play at Preston. So he did his time in the lower 11s, and then he was an integral part of that senior makeup, you know, batting down the order a little bit, maybe that number 6, 7, 8 spot. I think, and I'm really not sure of the stats, whether he won a club championship. If not, he certainly won the most valuable player in the ones. And he just, that's a success story.
Yes.
Because he also just kept trying, and he kept training. And he didn't come down with the big reputation. And some boys come to us with very big reputations. And yeah, they have good carnivals.
Yeah.
But Daniel is one of the ones. Daniel Dodonna is another one who came through the system. You know, there's quite a few.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. There's probably too many to actually name.
Who's the best player you've seen at Preston?
The best player I've seen over a long period of time is Kevin Lowe.
Yes.
He not only is a good player, he's a great bloke.
Yes.
He's great to be around because he makes you feel young, you know. And, you know, again, Matthew was fortunate enough to play with him when they won the last premiership in the ones. That was 2002? 203, which is 20 years ago. It's hard to believe it's 20 years ago. Yeah. But Kevin just destroyed Coburg. I think he took 7 or 8 for, at least 7 for next to nothing, and just went through them like, you know, a knife through butter.
Yes.
And he was just almost unplayable. But of course he had Molly at the other end, which was always very handy, and Stewie Hensley.
Right.
So, you know, Lowie played in a great time too with those players. I'm not sure about prior to Matthew arriving, but I know that, you know, I've heard about the Rungas and these guys. I never actually saw them play. And when Matty arrived, Gamini was really just finishing.
Right.
So, you know, but Kev, definitely, you know, for longevity.
Yeah.
But we've had some explosive players there. I really liked Sajit, who came down and played just the one season with us, a wicketkeeper. I thought he was just sensational. And unfortunately, he was only with us for 1 year. And, you know, he used to go out to bat and just, it didn't matter if the first ball was up, away it went.
Yes.
You know, I really enjoyed watching him play. And the other boy was certainly Owen Delaney.
Yes.
Owen Delaney just arriving on the doorstep, courtesy of Northcote, having too many players pre-season, and Owen coming and looking for a club to play with, just wandering in, and then becoming captain, and then making 600 runs one year or something, making the team of the year, and he sort of just fell into Preston's lap. So he was another one, and a ripper bloke, and plus the fact that his then partner Laura ended up playing with myself in the ladies' team at Holy Trinity, and just a lovely couple to land in our laps, whether at Holy Trinity or at Preston.
You need that luck, don't you?
Every now and then, every now and then, someone just walks in off the street, and you go, you know. Marcus Murphy, for example, who wandered in a couple of years ago, watching him take Coburg to pieces, just clearing boundaries left, right, and centre. You know, big sixes over the top of the grandstand, and you know, some of these guys who have come in from, you know, I think, Marcus was from Epping, so, you know, he's come in and, he's just, they're just really good people to have around the club.
Talking about new players, you have played a big role with the Sri Lankan lads over the years. Your family have helped with putting them up. And there's been some excellent players amongst them. We've got 2 new lads this year. Tell us about those 2 lads.
Well, what I know about Amal is that he plays in Qatar, Sri Lankan, wicket keeper, opening bat, top order bat. Saw him bat in a practice match the other day, just on synthetic. Geez, he hits the ball as hard as I've seen anyone hit it for a long, long time. Right. At Barling Reserve on the background, which is a big ground, he was clearing the fences there with ease. So, yeah, I think he's going to be an absolute, fine for us. And then, of course, we have Kanishka. Kanishka has been a coach of one of the teams over in Sri Lanka, and they've won the last 3 championships. And he'll also take on part of the coaching role with Alex Lewis, and probably Kev Lowe and Luke Bramage, I believe, is like a coaching panel this year. So Kanishka's going to be invaluable in that role of helping out. He played his cricket at Holy Trinity. That's where we first came across him, along with TJ, who had played at Holy Trinity. Then 2 seasons ago came and took the club by storm early before Christmas. Just looked $1 million. So and again, they're just lovely people. Yes, they really are. They're friendly. They're obliging. Nothing's too much trouble. Yes. Whereas I believe some of the Sri Lankans in the past may have been a little bit lazy when it come to training. According to Gus, that sometimes they wouldn't quite turn up for training or something like that. But these boys are very, very committed. Yeah. So I think they're going to be great for the club.
Fantastic. Yeah. What's the form look like over the fence on what you've seen so far?
From the senior or from the Craig?
From the seniors.
The seniors?
Yeah.
Well, look, I think in sub-district cricket, I've had this discussion before, that I think the sub-district cricket has to work out where it fits in the scheme of cricket. I think 25, 30, 35 years ago, it suited a lot of players who were coming back from Premier cricket, just wanting to play a more relaxed form of cricket. So there were, maybe the competition was a bit stronger then than what it is right at the moment. And I'm not knocking the sub-district by any stretch of the imagination, because there's some wonderful players playing it. But I think there is now a real opportunity for some young guys to come through. The James Wigingtons, for example. Now, James is another one of those boys who came through the Hatch program and has slowly but surely been building. And he's a boy who likes to, I'll call him a boy. He's a boy who likes to get on with the game. He likes to hit the ball. And, unfortunately had a knee problem last year and couldn't play. Daniel Gregory will be sorely missed, that's for sure, being overseas the first part, because he's already made, a couple of centuries there. One in the first 11, but there's other good young kids there who can get an opportunity. Lachlan Kirkwright. I think it's Matt Foster. I think that's the big, tall, red-headed fast bowler will probably get an opportunity. But then we've got like guys like Tom Boddy, who are coming into their 3rd or 4th season. Came to us from Preston YCW. I think Tom's a real big, strong opening bowler. Could probably just hit the deck just that little bit harder. But he's developing too. And we've got to remember, some of these guys are only 22. They're still babies. They're still very young in the scheme of things. You look at Lowy. Lowy was probably hitting his peak at a later 20s when he was really at the top of his game. And doing all the things that he was doing. So they've still got plenty of time to mature if they want to keep going. But also down in the lower grades, we've had some boys come in from last year's Craig. They're looking pretty good. We had others coming in, that are new to the club. I think Lockie Rees, he'll still be playing Craig, but he's now playing, so he's sort of one of the younger boys, and there's a couple of young Indian boys who are playing with us. So I think the club is in good hands. As Alex Lewis has always been very big on bringing youth through. You look at Q, for example, and good on Q, for the 4 or 5 superstars that they have there. But is it stopping some of their juniors coming through and getting more opportunity to then push on and go higher? Are they being stopped there in some way? Whereas I think with Preston, there's an opportunity to go on.
Yeah.
You know, Liam Ingram, for example, left last year, went to Fitzroy Doncaster, got 100 in the threes at Fitzroy Doncaster. You know, some people may think, oh, it's just the threes, but 100 in cricket is 100.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter where you make it.
That's right.
And he's not going to be playing on the Premier wickets if he's playing in the threes.
Yes.
And I think he might have made it at Mayor Park, which makes it an even better 100.
Yes.
So, you know, we've got this progression.
Yeah.
We definitely do. And through the Craig, as you said before, the Craig and the Academy is the greatest recruiting tool that Preston have now.
Yes.
And it's talent ID. But I think also, Lee, in my time with juniors, is that sometimes we concentrate too much on the kids who have the ability. It's the kids that are the middle of the road kids, or even the ones that are just below that middle of the road, that are learning the game. They're going to become your players that are going to be at your club for 15 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes some clubs turn their back on them.
Yes.
You can't.
We've seen that over the 50 years that I've been associated with Preston. You know, some kids have worked really hard in the fourths, the thirds, the seconds, and then become excellent first 11 players. Dale Carpenter was one who, I don't know how many games he played in the twos, but he probably played 100 games plus in the twos before getting his opportunity, and then played a couple of hundred games in the ones, you know.
Exactly.
So, yes, it's...
You know, sometimes the kids can be thrown in the deep end too early, which can happen when you don't have, you know, the massive depth.
Yeah.
But some will sink and some will swim.
Yeah.
So, you know, they get their opportunity. But as long as they go up, if they have a bad experience, they don't drop their heads. And then they go back down a grade or so and just keep working, and then they realise that what they have to do to get higher up. And we find that a lot in local cricket.
Yeah.
You know.
I think if they stick around long enough, they begin to work within their strengths and understand their limitations, and they find that sort of spot.
There's a lot of boys who start off who want to be leg spinners, who become very good medium pacers. There's some kids who are very good medium pacers end up being opening bats.
Yes.
There are kids who all of a sudden pick up a pair of wicket-keeping gloves and have got a natural ability to catch.
Yes.
Some, you know, and I think these days, especially with wicket keepers, you know, you have to be able to bat. You know, Adam Gilchrist, you know, Rob Marsh and, you know, Alan Knott and these guys. They set the tone to a different level. But now, you know, with Gilchrist and Bairstow and these guys, you know, they just come out and blast all over the place, and you have to be an opening bat to go along with your wicket keeping. But I still love to see the keepers who are the clean. That's what they do.
Yeah.
It's not about making 100. It's about any catch that comes or any stumping that's available, taking it.
That's right.
You know.
Now, bringing the conversation back to yourself, John, last year, I think it was, or maybe early this year, stand to be corrected, you received quite a significant award from the city of Darebin for 50 years service to the community and community sports in particular. Tell us a little bit about that award.
Well, that was quite anxiety invoking for me. I'm not a big person with crowds. But yeah, look, I was lucky enough to be nominated, and you know, thank you very much to Preston, and also to West Preston and to Holy Trinity, who wrote some very nice things about me. I'd like to get them and frame them so that when they're having a go at me, I'll say, "See, you actually did say something nice about me." But yeah, it was a real honour.
Yeah.
It was an honour, but. That particular night, some of the recipients, mine was, what's it called? I don't know. I forget. A Lifetime Achievement Award. But that's just because of all the years that I spent, you know, doing what I do and doing it because I love it.
Yeah.
No other reason. But some of the other recipients that night, what they've actually done in the community in a small amount of time, it was quite eye-opening to see what they've done, you know, especially during that COVID period.
Yeah.
But yeah, I must admit, I'm extremely chuffed by that award, and I really was, very, very excited to receive it on the night, even though the week leading up to it was a nightmare with anxiety having to go. But many thanks to my good mate Kev Clarkson, who helped get me through. And Kev and I have been great mates. And you know, Kev has been at Holy Trinity a long time, and you know, we sort of were doing the juniors together, and we've become very close. And yeah, on that particular night, and he took me out to breakfast in the morning to keep me calm and all that sort of stuff. But it ended up being a great night, you know, and other good people who were there. So, you know, but it was also for, I think, because of female sport, which has been one of the passions that developed in, I think it was 2004. When David Hall was a regional manager, he was looking for a team manager for the under-15 girls squad. They were the Cowboys, they were called, but then we ended up becoming the Falcons, which was a far better name for the girls than the Cowboys. And Jess said, yeah, I'll do it. And then David said, well, we haven't got a coach. Would you have a go at it? I thought, it'd be nice to do something with Jess for the 1 year. So that was the start of a passion with women's sport. And then had the opportunity to go down and coach Holy Trinity's women's teams, their inaugural teams. And I think that's probably one of the things that I'll really treasure, you know, even later in life, is that these girls were just fantastic. It really was. I've coached hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young boys. But these ladies were just so enthusiastic, and you know, and Carly O'Brien, who I call my cricket daughter, you know, we sort of developed a great relationship, and she was doing a lot of recruiting and the coaching, and then we had quite a bit of success, which was always a good thing.
Puts a smile on your face.
Puts a smile on your face.
That's right.
You know,
Jon, you speak with so much passion and love of helping, I think, is probably what comes through sort of loud and clear. And you've had 25 years at Preston, which is unbelievable for somebody who hasn't played.
No, no, hang on. I did field one day with the great H.
Oh, right.
God rest his soul, the great man. And he was at point. I was at second slip.
Right.
H was 20 years my junior, and one ball went through, and who had to chase it?
You did.
Me, not H. But that was fun having that one game. You know, with H, and he was larger than life, the great man, and he was fantastic. You know, and he was another reason that we ended up at Preston. He asked Matthew to go down to like a coaching thing after the Hatch series, and the first person I was greeted by was H.
Yes.
That big smile and that big handshake. You know, welcome. And I thought, this guy must be first 11 cricketer and what have you. And then finally, you know, finding out a bit later that H had not really played the game until he arrived at Preston. But he was one of the greatest assets that they had, and become a great committee man and a great worker.
Yes, huge loss.
Huge loss last year. It was just a devastating loss. It really was. You know.
Well, we'll finish on a bright note. Thank you so much for your contribution to the club, which is obviously going to continue for probably another 15, 20, 25 years.
Well, let's hope another 25. They might be pushing me around in a wheelchair. I'll have a motorised one, but they're still barking instructions at the Craig kids.
You still won't be as old as Dick by that stage.
No, that's true. That's true.
But thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your contribution, and we look forward to seeing you down there as usual every Saturday afternoon.
I'll be there. Dog and I will be there. Thanks, Lee. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you.